Let's hear what else the medical examiner was observing about Mindy's body here. Wow. All right, let's skip ahead. Here we go.
Last slide that we just looked at. Can you pass me that for, may I, Your Honor?
Yes.
For just a moment.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear how they defend this.
Number is
1.33.
and can I approach?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
If I can simply two exhibits. If I can simply clarify for the record, counsel has pointed out to the state that it appears I have inadvertently marked two exhibits 1.31. So the first one will be exhibit 1.31A refers to slide 101, and 1.31B refers to slide 109.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
Very well.
So as we progress through these, we were at slide 111, and we're now moving on to the next slide. That would be slide 120. What exhibit number is that for you, sir?
This is 1.34.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what, if anything, is depicted in that photograph of note to you?
Yeah, this is the end of one of the femurs, and this basically shows where it's cut. So you can see where the bone has been cut, and it's there's yes. So that's what we're showing here.
And was it physically cut all the way through? It's been completely cut all the way through, but there are portions where the bone appears to have been or has been cut, but at that point wasn't cut all the way through. But obviously it's not attached to the other part, so it's been cut through finally. But yes, there's a portion there where you can see it's been cut only partially. Okay. So did you have an opportunity to weigh the different items that were received at the laboratory?
Yes.
Okay. And is that customary practice when you perform an autopsy?
Yes. Yeah. Typically, we measure the body, basically determine the body length, which is equivalent to the height, and the weight. We determine the weight.
Okay. And so, were you able to determine the height and weight of each of the portions of the remains?
Yeah, we weighed each portion, and then we approximated. We put the pieces together and approximated what an overall body length or height would be.
Okay. And is that documented in your report?
Yes.
Okay. And with respect to that next photograph, that would be photograph 132. What exhibit number is that for you?
1.35.
And that photograph, what's depicted there?
Yeah, this is the decedent's torso and arms. That specimen, and now we've cleaned it up. So we've cleaned the mud off of it, and so now we can see the body surface.
The torso.
And did you notice any defects to the body that are depicted in this image?
Yes.
Can you describe them for the jury?
Yes. So there's the defects that we've talked about where the legs were removed. So at the very upper part of both thighs are present, but then there's a large defect where the rest of the legs have been cut from the body, where the body's been dismembered. The same thing at the top in the head, where you can see there's a portion of the spine that's protruding up into the neck. It's the lower portion of the lower fused vertebrae that correspond to the neck, cervical vertebrae, remain there with very little soft tissue left around it. And then there's a defect around that area. That defect extends into the chest cavities, basically the cavities on the right and left sides of the chest, where the right lung and the left lung are located.
and the pericardial sac where the heart is located. So the defect extends down into there. Normally, these cavities are not exposed. They're covered with skin and subcutaneous tissue, muscle, and bony structures. But in this case, though the bony structures are intact, the soft tissue is not. So the defect up at the top, at the base of the neck there, extends down into the chest cavity and is associated with a loss of tissue there. The upper portion of the heart and significant portions of the lung are absent, and appears to be the result of animal predation, where animals have gotten into the body and have taken and presumably eaten portions of the heart and the lungs, and then other of the organs in that area, including the upper part of the esophagus.
With respect to the esophagus and the portion of the neck that is no longer present that you described, did that make this complicated for you in any way in terms of some of your conclusions?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury why and how?
Well, in part to evaluate, the ideal is to evaluate the entire body to assess whatever findings might be there, injuries or otherwise. If parts of the bodies are missing, then obviously we can't evaluate those. And if there's the body has been damaged, presumably, say with the cuts to remove the legs and the head, there's damage that's made in those areas. So if there was findings in those areas, injuries or otherwise, it may obscure those and make it difficult or impossible for me to identify those.
Can you tell the jury what asphyxia is?
Yeah, asphyxia is a condition whereby it's a condition whereby oxygen is prevented from getting to the tissues. Our body tissues need certain things, certain nutrients, and one of the things our body tissue needs is oxygen. So when we breathe in oxygen into our lungs, our lungs take the oxygen out of the air, put it in the blood, and then the blood's pumped around to the body and provides that oxygen to the tissue. So if there's some process that interferes with oxygen being delivered to the tissues, that's asphyxia.
And so what is a manner in which an individual can manually be prohibited from receiving oxygen?
Well, one way would be smothering. For example, if a person covers up the airway, the nose and mouth of somebody with something that prevents them being able to breathe, that would prevent oxygen from getting into the lungs. That would be one form of asphyxia. Another form would be a neck compression or strangulation. When a neck is compressed in a significant way, and something that we call strangulation, the typical mechanism of injury there is the blood vessels that supply blood to the brain. Those are blocked. So normally the heart pumps blood around to the body, including blood up through the neck into the head.
It's amazing you can see all that.
Neck blood vessels are compressed in a significant way. That can prevent an adequate amount of blood and oxygen from getting to the brain, and that's a form of asphyxia as well.
If you don't have the neck, how does that impact your ability to render a determination if strangulation was present?
Yeah, we're really, if you don't have a neck, there's no way to evaluate injuries in the neck. That's one of the things you look for to evaluate strangulation. You look for injuries in the neck, either on the outside of the neck or on the skin surface and on the inside of the neck. You may get bruising internally, and you may get fractures of some of the structures in the neck, such as the hyoid bone, which is a U-shaped bone in the upper part of the neck, or the larynx, basically the voice box.
So with those being missing, did that make this more difficult for you?
Yes, that would make it more difficult. Now, at this point of the autopsy, those structures were missing. When we recovered the head with a portion of the neck, some of those structures were present. For example, the hyoid bone was present, and a portion of the larynx was present.
But the skin, was that present?
No.
Okay.
At least a portion of it wasn't.
Okay. Were there any other visible defects on the face or front of the body depicted?
Yes.
And what are those?
There are injuries that appear to be what we refer to as sharp force injuries caused by a sharp object. And there are two superficial such injuries on the right upper chest. The most prominent one is on the inner aspect of the right breast, the vertical linear, several inches in length there on the breast. There's a number of small injuries that look like cuts in the region of the right upper chest as well that you can't see very well in this photograph. And then on the abdomen, near the belly button region, there are 3 areas of defects that are in the skin and soft tissue that appear to represent injuries caused by a sharp object.
And then what about the right upper arm? Can you tell us what you observed?
Yes. In the right upper arm, there's a defect in the skin, and there's a large amount of tissue loss there. So there's a significant amount of decomposition here. There's tissue loss, so there may have been animal predation there. There may have been an animal that came in and ate some of the tissue. The bone there, the upper arm bone, the humerus, is exposed, and there on the surface of the bone there are numerous parallel, horizontal, linear cuts in the bone, but they're superficial. They look like there was an attempt to cut the humerus, but then it appears that the attempt to cut the humerus was ceased.
I'm now turning to slide 139. What is that exhibit number for you?
Yeah, this is exhibit 1.36.
Thank you. Can you tell the jury what you see here?
Yeah, so this is the back of the right hand and the right forearm. And on the hand, close to the wrist, there's an area of discoloration that represents bruising. And then on the forearm, you can see 2 areas of discoloration that also represent bruising. So this is a bruise or a contusion, which is basically an area of bleeding in the tissue caused by impact with a blunt object or surface.
Can you explain to the jury what the phrase defensive wounds means?
Yes. So a defensive wound is a wound that you would receive that you might receive when you're being attacked by someone. If someone is attacking you and striking you with an object, it's what your natural tendency to do is to put your arms up to try to block. And so what may happen if you do block the blows, you'll get injuries on the arm. And so injuries, they're often on the back of the hand and on the back of the forearm. And those are called defensive injuries.
And is it possible that they are potentially also decomposition, meaning that you sometimes see bruising that isn't a defensive wound?
Yeah, so sometimes we'll, as a result of the decomposition process, there may be discoloration of the body that mimics bruising. So sometimes it can be difficult to tell if an area of discoloration represents decomposition or if it represents true bruising.
So what do you do to determine which one it is?
So one of the common things we do is we'll cut into it, because a lot of times if it's decomposition, it will be superficial and it will be involving the skin. If it's bruising, you'll see more typically you'll see more the bruising in the tissue, not just on the skin surface, but underneath the skin. So cutting into the area of discoloration can be very helpful to determine if it's a bruise or if it's decomposition.
Is that routinely part of your autopsy to make those determinations?
Yes, we often do that.
Okay. And in this case, did you find areas that were both bruising as well as potentially decomposition?
Yes.
I'm now going to turn you to slide number 144. Slide number 144. What exhibit number is that for you?
Yeah, this is 1.37.
Thank you. What is depicted in this image?
Yeah, so this is what we were just talking about. This is the right upper arm. There's loss of tissue. A large amount of tissue is lost because you can see the bone there. That white structure there with the dark lines is the bone, and those dark lines, those parallel lines, those represent superficial cuts into the bone, where it appears there was an attempt to cut that bone, but not a successful attempt. And there's discoloration of the tissue in this area too. This discoloration is similar to the discoloration seen at all the amputation margins. It's related to postmortem decomposition.
Now at slide 145, what exhibit number is that for you?
This is 1.38.
Would it be fair to say that that's simply a close-up of those cut marks?
Yes.
And you indicated what was the nature of those marks? Were they, I believe you said lateral? Is that what you said?
They're horizontal.
Horizontal, my apologies. Okay. And can you tell us anything about the humerus, similarly to as you described the femur? Is there anything distinctive about the humerus?
Yeah, with the humerus, it's sort of the corresponding bone in the arm to the thigh bone in the leg. It's a single long bone in the upper part of the arm, similar to the femur is a single long bone present in the upper part of the leg. And they're fairly thick bones, especially the femur, because as you mentioned, it has to bear the weight of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now going to slide number 152. what exhibit number is that for you?
This is 1.39.
And can you advise the jury what you observed on the left arm?
Yeah, on the left arm, what's most visible here are two areas of discoloration, one near the wrist and on the forearm, and one a little more towards the middle of the forearm. Those represent abrasions. Abrasion is basically a scrape injury, so it's caused by impact with the body and impact with a blunt object or surface that causes a scraping of the superficial layer
So
of skin
many
off. So it's
injuries.
basically like if you fall down on the pavement and skin your knee, that's an abrasion. So that's what these two are. They're abrasions that are visible here. In addition, on the back of the hand, near the wrist, there's an area of discoloration that's suggestive of a bruise, but not clearly a bruise. And then on the back of the forearm, sort of in the middle of the forearm, not very visible in this photograph, there is a small bruise.
I'm now going to slide 153. What exhibit number is that for you?
This is exhibit 1.40.
Can you describe what is the condition observed on the left hand?
Yes, it's what we call a washerwoman hand. It's basically, you can kind of see it here. You
that?
can see it better if you look at the palm side of the hand, but it's basically where the skin of the hands and feet will get wrinkly if they're exposed to water for a period of time.
So if you stay in the bath too long, for example?
Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to show you the next slide. That would be 156. What exhibit number is that for you?
This is 1.41.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what you see here?
Yeah, this is the palm of the left hand, and you can see better in this photograph the washerwoman change.
Okay. What impact does washerwoman syndrome have with respect to taking fingerprints?
It can theoretically make it more technically challenging, but if all you have is washerwoman change, we should be able to take fingerprints with proper techniques.
What do you do? What's the technique?
Oh, yeah, that'd be a better question for the impressions latent print section of the lab to answer.
So you don't do that yourself in the autopsy?
I don't.
Okay. So you would just document it and potentially make it available. Meaning, do you try to do prints anyway?
We do in our lab. We'll take we do some fingerprints in our lab. If they're difficult, traditionally we've used latent prints. Now in the Savannah area lab where this autopsy took place, they don't have access to a latent prints department, so they do the fingerprints there, and they have they're used to taking fingerprints in difficult cases, so they are knowledgeable about techniques. Some of the DIS there, our autopsy assistants there. I'm personally not, but they are.
Okay. And so, as a general rule, you do take autopsy prints, even if they're not, I hate to say, effective. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
We do in certain cases. We don't fingerprint every case. There's certain types of cases that we will perform fingerprints on.
Okay. Now, I'm directing your attention to the next slide, being 158. What exhibit is that for you?
This is 1.42.
And what is depicted here?
Yeah, this is a discoloration. This is the left upper arm. So you can see the elbow on the right side of the screen, and then the underarm region, right where they've got the L-shaped ruler, that's where the underarm region is. So really looking at the upper arm corresponding to the humerus, like we were just talking about. And there's discoloration there on the front of the arm that appears to be a postmortem change. It's not nothing that I could identify as an injury.
So in this particular body's evaluation, you did see items that you were able to clearly say that's not an injury, but rather decomposition or some change due to death?
Yes.
Okay. And does this represent that?
It appears to, yes.
I'm going to now turn you to the next slide. This is 167. What exhibit is that for you?
This is 1.43.
And what is depicted here?
So there are three defects here that look like they were probably caused by something sharp or fairly sharp. Three defects this is the front of the abdomen, basically near the belly button. You can see right in the middle of the screen there's the belly button, very close to the middle of these defects.
Those are 167. I'm now moving on to slide 174. Is that what exhibit for you?
1.44.
And are those, again, the right humerus with the cuts at a much closer view?
Yes.
I'm now going to slide 184. What exhibit number is that for you?
1.45.
And what is displayed here?
So this is one of the femur bones, one of the ends of the femur bones. So this is where the femur bone was cut, basically the cut end. And you can see there's a place where there's a fairly smooth cut in the bone that goes through much of the thickness of the bone, but not all of the way.
And is that the condition you received the body in?
Yes.
And what did you do with respect to the femur sites during the course of your autopsy?
So we removed the ends of the femurs where they had been cut. We removed the ends and submitted them as evidence so that it could be the potential for evaluation of these cut ends in case it may be useful to know what kind of weapon or what kind of tool might have been used to make the cuts.
Without being graphic, doctor, I'm going to show on myself. So both of the legs were severed, correct?
Yes.
So would it be fair to say that the two portions from the lower portion of the thigh and then the two portions from the upper portion of the thigh, all four of them were cut by your office and turned over to the tool mark section?
Yes.
Okay. So did that preserve then each of the cuts that were performed prior to your receipt and then given to them for examination?
Yes.
And of course, did you mark where your cut was so it was clear?
Yes.
Okay. And I presume you don't do tool mark examination, correct?
That's correct.
I'm now showing you slide 186. What exhibit number is that for you?
This is 1.46.
And can you tell the jury what defects you see on the upper left portion of her back?
Yeah, there's a superficial cut on the left upper back in the shoulder region.
So that was an actual cut.
Yes.
I'm now at slide 189. Can you tell us what exhibit number that is?
At 1.47.
What is displayed here?
So what we've done is we've placed the legs together with the torso just to reapproximate how the body would have been had the legs
that's brutal, man.
not been amputated.
And are you able to now see some of the locations where you cut into the bruising or decomposition to make those assessments?
Yes, you can in this photograph, yes.
And where are those incisions?
You can see on the left arm. You can see on the right arm.
Can you also see on the neck area now, perhaps better in this photograph, where the neckline has receded?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see, I'm not sure if it's better vantage point in this photograph or not.
Okay. What is that that's sticking out from the neck area?
That's the spine. Those are the lower cervical spinal the vertebrae, the bones of the spine that correspond to the lower part of the neck.
So if her body had been intact, would that not then
That's
have
tough.
had all of the skin up to her chin, essentially?
Yes.
Is that present in that last photograph? That skin?
No, that's absent there.
Okay. I'm now directing your attention to December 9th of 2022. Did you conduct a second portion of the autopsy in this case?
Yes.
What did you perform the autopsy on that date?
I'm sorry?
What portion of her remains did you perform the autopsy on that date?
Oh yeah, the head and then the upper portion of the neck that remain attached to the head.
What is depicted in slide 191? And what exhibit number is that? My apologies.
Yeah, this is exhibit number 1.48, and this is a placard. It basically shows the same things that we saw in the previous placard, except the date is different. The date is now lists December the 9th, 2022.
And presumably, if you had all of these pieces on the same day, would you have performed the autopsy simultaneously?
Yes.
Did you have them all on the same day?
No.
Is that why there's a lapse in time?
Yes.
When you received the head, was that received separately?
Yes.
And was that also received in a sealed condition?
Yeah, he's just talking about it piece by piece.
If you need to refresh your recollection, just let us know.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah.
need to, sir?
I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, I've got that. It was received in a body bag with a tag indicating an unidentified body from Liberty County.
Okay. And on December 9th, would this placard have been made by whom?
By the staff at the Coastal Medical Examiner's Office.
Do they assist you?
Yes.
Okay. I assume you don't make your own plaques normally.
No, not normally.
Okay. I'm now directing your attention to slide 192. Can you tell us what exhibit number that is?
You're right, Slim Life. It doesn't make sense.
Yes, this is State's Exhibit 1.49.
Okay. And states 1.49, what's depicted there?
Yes, so this is the body bag. Again, the zippers are closed. You can see the seal here, the red seal, and then you can see the handwritten labels on the attached to the zipper, attached to the zippers of the closed body bag.
Directing your attention to slide 194, what exhibit number is that?
Imagine having to put them
1.50.
back together.
What's depicted here?
This is the deceased's head, and so you can see on the left side of there's her hair, and then on the right side her face. It's a little hard to make out because her face is covered in mud, so it's dark color similar to the color of the hair.
It's disgusting, man.
Now turning you to slide 195, what exhibit number is that?
1.51.
What vantage point does this provide?
This is the face. So we're looking at her face, and you can see it's still discolored with dark. It's got mud on it.
Can you tell anything about her eyes?
Well, her left eye, you can see the surface of her left eye, and the cornea appears clouded, which is a change that occurs as a part of postmortem decomposition.
Can you explain to the jury what happens, if anything, with respect to eye color during decomposition?
Well, eye color after death can change, and so it's not necessarily a reliable indicator of the color of the eyes during life. And with decomposition, you can get clouding of the corneas, so so you may not be able to identify at all the color of the eyes.
Did there come a time when you cleaned off?
Yeah, awful is
Her
an
face and head.
understatement.
Yes.
I'm going to direct your attention to the next slide, slide number 196. What exhibit number is that for you?
This is 1.52.
What, if anything, did you observe about her face?
Yeah, there's discoloration on the face. The discoloration on the face in various areas is consistent with change of postmortem decomposition. She did have some discoloration in her eyes, in the white portion of her eyes, the sclera. It was unclear to me if that discoloration was related to decomposition or was related to trauma.
I'm directing your attention now to slide 203. What exhibit number is that for you?
This is 1.53.
What's depicted on the right part of her face?
Yeah, so there's two defects in the scalp. We've pulled the scalp back. This is the very forward part of the scalp, so very close to the forehead. It looks like the forehead here, but we've pulled the scalp away so that the injuries are visible, and you can see these two defects in the skin there. These are two of a total of 9 similar appearing defects that are present on the scalp, including here on the right frontal area, also on the top of the scalp on the left side and near the midline, and on the back of the scalp. These appear to be lacerations. The decomposition makes it a little challenging to sometimes distinguish between incisions and lacerations. Incisions are defects caused by a sharp object. Lacerations are defects caused by a non-sharp object, a blunt object. These appear to be most likely laceration. There's a little bit of irregularity associated with it, and in some of these there is tissue bridging when we look in the depth. That's a feature that we see in lacerations, but not in incisions. So this appears to be 2 of 9 lacerations that are present on the scalp. And there's discoloration here that represents contusion. It's not clear from the external examination that it's contusion, but when we opened the head and reflected the scalp, looked at the undersurface of the scalp, it was clear that there was a significant amount of contusion or bruising in the area where these lacerations were located.
Would that be consistent with being struck?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said a laceration was blunt as opposed to a cut, correct?
Yes.
I'm looking at slide 204. Is that what exhibit?
Exhibit 1.54.
And would that be the closer version of what you just described?
Yes.
Is that how you were able to see the irregularity you just described? meaning
Yes.
not from a cut versus a laceration.
Yes.
I'm now looking at slide 206. Can you tell us what exhibit number?
Yeah, this is 1.55.
And was there any observations to the left side of her face or skull?
Yeah, there's discoloration. There's some discoloration here on the left side of the face, including in the left forehead. I could not identify these to be injuries. These areas of discoloration are consistent with change of postmortem decomposition.
And I'm now at slide number 207. What exhibit number?
1.56.
Would that be the area that you indicated was decomposition, not an actual injury?
It did. Yes, it did appear to be postmortem decomposition.
I'm looking now at slide number 225. Can you tell us what exhibit number?
1.57.
What is depicted here?
So this is the scalp, and what we've done is we've removed all the scalp hair so that we can better evaluate the scalp surface and see what injuries may be present. And you can see we're looking at sort of the back of the head, really. The top of the head is towards the right side of the screen. The sort of the top of the neck is on the left side of the screen, and the right ear is at the bottom of the screen. The left ear is at the top of the screen. So you can see over the left side of the scalp and midline scalp, there's multiple lacerations. These are similar in appearance to the two that we saw on the right forehead. So a total of 9, and these here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this photograph. Some of these lacerations were full thickness, meaning they went all the way through the scalp to the underlying skull, and some of them were partial thickness.
Was there any damage to the skull itself that you were able to observe at any point during the autopsy?
One of the laceration on the back of the one that's the farthest on the left,
before she was
shown here in the photograph,
dead.
That one, there was a
1/4-inch
defect in the surface of the skull that was consistent with a skull fracture.
I'm now looking at the slide that is labeled X-ray 2. What exhibit number is that for you?
This is exhibit 1.58.
Would it be fair to say that this is an X-ray?
Yes.
Does this demonstrate anything with respect to the femurs?
Yes.
What does it show?
Yeah, you can see with the proximal part of the femurs, the upper part of the femurs are present and go into the hip socket like the femurs normally do, but you can see where they've been cut only a short distance from the hip joint.
And how is the hip joint kept in place? Meaning, is there tissue that keeps it in place? Is
Yes.
it bone that keeps it in place? How does your leg stay attached?
Yeah, it's the whole joint apparatus with cartilage and soft tissue and bone all together that holds it in place.
And so would it be fair to say that you could cut through the tissue without cutting through the bone to remove the leg? Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is the bone itself doesn't have to be cut, does it?
That's correct. You could potentially remove the leg without cutting through the femur.
I'm now showing you X-ray number 3. What exhibit is that for you?
Like if you were using a deer processing kit?
It is 1.59.
And which leg does this display? Is it clear or is that not clear?
It's not. It appears to be the right leg.
Okay.
Yes, based on the R in the top left-hand corner of the X-ray.
Okay. And X-ray number 4, the next slide, what exhibit is that?
This is 1.6.
She was worth $35 million.
And what is depicted here?
And this
Wow.
this is one of the legs.
Is that an X-ray also?
Yes.
Does that show the distal or the lower portion of both of the leg X-rays where the femur is?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
Does that, what part of the femur does that show?
Yeah. So the part of the femur here is most of the femur, but the very upper part of the femur is absent because it's been severed.
And with respect to X-ray 5, what's depicted in, what exhibit rather is that for you first?
1.61.
Okay, and what is depicted here?
And this is an X-ray of the head and the upper portion of the neck.
You can, Madam Clerk, can we turn that off, please?
Wow.
Thank you. Doctor, so those images, would it be fair to say that those were images all that you took in connection with performing your autopsy?
Yeah, all of these photographs that we've looked at today were some of the photographs that were taken during the autopsy.
Yeah, you took some.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll take a short break. Go ahead.
Okay, so now they're going to get into the photographs of the autopsy and talk about what was shown there. We should have cross-examination coming up. Guys, this was brutal, man. To hear how this body was dismembered and what he was able to see happen to the skull. I want to know if the injuries happened before or after she was dead. I wonder if they're able to show that or if they're able to see that from their observations. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.